What is going on, everybody? It is the Going Over Big Time podcast. I am Mike Charlip, and I am joined once again by my friend Alan the Cantastic. And today we are discussing the AEW World's End pay per view. The 2024 edition just took place last night, time of recording. And I think it was a solid show. Obviously, not the best show of the year, but I think it was a pretty good show from top to bottom with, little things that I'm sure we're going to have to uh, critique here and there. But I thought pretty solid from a wrestling standpoint. Alan, what were your thoughts overall?
Yeah, I thought it was, AEW mainly focuses on the wrestling part of pro wrestling.
Yep.
And I think you got about 11 matches or so that, just went they had the match, they moved on. I was pleasantly surprised it ended at 11:30 technically. I don't think I could do any more pay-per-views that ended at midnight. That's just a little too much. So I'm glad the way they started it off. I'm glad, and I'm pretty happy with the way they ended the show, which we'll get into later. You know,
uh,
I mean, the focus was the Continental Classic, which I think really provided the bulk of the sort of like matches of the night. I would say.
so I will say for the time thing, I felt like this show flew by, so it didn't even feel
Hmm.
like 4.5 hours if you include the 0 hour. Um, I felt like the show went by like it was nothing, but also I feel like these longer shows I don't care as much on a Saturday. If it was on a Sunday where I have to get up for work the next day, then I think I would care more.
Hmm.
But when it's on a Saturday and I have the next day off, the long shows don't bother me. But that's just me. I don't know if everybody else feels that way, but
Well, I feel the trend is that they're either going towards shorter pay-per-view programming or they're starting it earlier so people will still have more time of their Saturday evenings. I get the sense that going forward, like Saturday pay-per-views are probably going to replace Sunday ones, and they're going to probably start earlier. At least in
well,
WWE's case, when they're
yeah.
starting at like 6 p.m. now.
So I don't know if AEW will be on Saturday. Will have Saturday pay per views going forward because I think that they're only doing that because of the football season. But I guess we'll find out in March when the next pay per view is, because if that show is on a Sunday, I don't remember the date. I have to look that up, but um, I'm pretty sure that they are only doing Saturday pay per views because the Jaguars are working on Sundays usually. So
Well, as far as I can tell, the next pay-per-view would be Revolution, unless
yep.
I'm mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Sunday, March 9th. So they are
Those,
moving it back. So
yeah.
yeah.
So I think that plays to that theory. I think.
Or I
Um,
mean, not sorry, I forgot to count Grand Slam, which is Saturday, February 15th. But you're
oh,
talking about Australia time, so
oh, I guess that is a pay per view. Yeah.
yeah, whatever the
Uh,
heck that is. Well, hold on, wait a
um,
minute.
or,
AEW Grand Slam Australia,
or is it?
Saturday, February 15th. So it would count as a pay-per-view, I think.
Well, or
Unless
it's
it's on TV.
unless it's an episode of Collision.
Um no, it's listed as a pay-per-view.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Well,
I don't know how I don't know. I'm just going off by like general Wikipedia information here.
I
So
guess we'll find out. But as for this show, we kicked off the 0 hour with with rookie Tony Storm taking on Layla Gray, who has
oh
less experience than Tony Storm in general.
yeah, what a history
But
making woman. The first rookie to be a two-time AEW Women's World Champion.
yes,
Yeah,
so
with a three-time.
the
Yeah.
storyline that started when Tony Storm returned, what coming back as her original gimmick, the rock star Tony Storm gimmick, is that she has some form of amnesia where she doesn't remember being part of AEW at all. um I was hoping that they were going to do something along those lines, but not go that far back. I thought that they were going to go to like she still thinks she's part of the Outcasts or something, like, or she's still teaming with Thunder Rosa as Thunderstorm kind of thing. I didn't think they were going to go this far back with her amnesia.
Yeah, it's like if Tony Storm was a phone and we did a factory reset on Tony Storm
Yes.
and we
So
completely wiped out her memory.
so the story, which I actually really like, the story is that she's working her way up because she's new to the company. And that's why she's on the pre-show and wrestling on ROH and wrestling on early matches on Collision kind of thing. So this, and then Layla Gray does a promo and says that this is a great opportunity for her to face a veteran in her short time as a wrestler, and all that. And obviously they have a pretty good match because it's Tony Storm. Tony Storm is great. And Layla Gray is getting a lot better in the ring for what she has been able to do in the past. She says in her promo that she's been working at the LA dojo with New Japan, so you can tell that the influence there was played in her in-ring work. Of course, Tony Storm would get the victory with a roll-up of all things, and as if it was a surprise victory to Tony Storm and Tony Storm only. And then she does a promo later where she's interrupted by Deonna Purrazzo, who introduces herself to Tony Storm, even though they quote unquote met last week and have been friends for over a decade.
Yes, I'm very aware of the program that we saw with the two of them. The whole ankle tattoo was involved, and which they completely forgotten.
And they are going to be facing each other on this coming week's Collision simulcast, as this is going to be the first week of the Dynamite and Collision both being aired on TBS or TNT and HBO Max. So I in America, at least, I don't know how that works in Canada. But
yeah, no, I don't have HBO Max personally. I'm sure I could.
Well, it's not technically. It's called Max now, not HBO.
It's called Max. Okay.
Yeah. So in America, they are going to be airing Dynamite and Collision on both TV and streaming at the same time going forward. I don't know how that works for commercials. I assume it's going to be the same as WWE on Netflix, where they will have ads in between matches. So we'll see. I'm actually excited to see how that plays out. But yes, the first Collision of the new era will have Tony Storm versus Deonna Purrazzo. Rookie Tony Storm versus Deonna Purrazzo. So I'm very curious to see where this is all going. Obviously, they're building to Grand Slam Australia. I don't think Tony Storm is losing a match at all leading to that show. And in storyline, they're going to say that she's working her way up the card to get a title shot against Mariah May, who this Tony Storm has never met before, supposedly. But is it all a ruse? It's very possible. Does Tony Storm have amnesia for real? I don't know. I guess we're going to find out. The next match on the pre-show, when we found out about this match, we thought that it was... We completely forgot about Final Battle. Completely. when this match was announced. You and me personally. I'm
I
not
don't think
talking.
I forgot what would lead up to it. Like, I mean, in all honesty, Final Battle was such a forgettable show. I'm sorry. Like, I
Yes,
mean,
unfortunately, yes.
this is some they had Ring of Honor at the Hammerstein Ballroom, the world famous Hammerstein
One of the
Ballroom
original homes of Ring of
of
Honor.
Ring of Honor, and the show was so forgettable that like the only memorable part I remember what others. I mean, it was like Nigel McGuinness challenging for the pure title as as a surprise
Yeah,
opponent,
the
and
the
I
man
mean,
who made the pure title famous.
yeah, and I vaguely remember the Lethal and QT match, which wasn't a bad match, but I'm just like,
No,
why are they feuding? I don't
so
understand.
yeah, well, because I
And this
I
in this match we're going to talk about for this for the 0 hour it
is
stems
linked.
from that feud.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
linked. Yes. So Tony, uh, QT Marshall and Jay Lethal had a match at Final Battle that stemmed from their history in ROH in the early 2010s, where QT Marshall was supposed to be like a face of ROH. They saw him as a future star, but he ended up getting hurt in a match with Jay Lethal, and his career was never the same again because I don't, as far as I know, I don't think he ever appeared for ROH ever again. Um, so the storyline was basically that, and they go into the match, and it becomes a comedy match of two people dressed like Macho Man fighting each other, and of course, like every Jay Lethal match since he's joined the group that he is currently in, there was shenanigans, sports entertainment nonsense, and Jay Lethal would just win, which is what we expected. So going into this match, Jeff Jarrett made an appearance because Karen Jarrett was in the corner of Jay Lethal dressed as um, Sherry
Sure.
Martel,
Yes.
which made zero sense because Jay Lethal was supposed to be a babyface. And Sherry Martel was only in the corner of Macho Man when he was a heel.
So only you would remember that. I don't think anyone else
What are you
really.
talking about? That's very well known.
Maybe for today's fans who've never seen Macho Man or
That is
only like saw
very
clip, maybe they
that is a very well known
yes.
thing.
Yeah, but I get your point. It's like, oh yeah, he's supposed to be a babyface. Shouldn't Karen Jarrett dress up as Miss Elizabeth? But I don't know if
Yes.
Karen Jarrett had the vibes to do a Miss Elizabeth, who
Yes,
was more of
sure.
a sweet and innocent
So
girl.
something
Sherry
happened.
Martel before, yeah,
Something happened during the match where Karen Jarrett like fell down or something. I don't even
yeah.
remember. The whole match is a blur to me because the whole show
Mhm.
is kind of a blur to me. Um, and Jeff Jarrett made an appearance and took out Aaron Solo, who was there, who is still friends with QT Marshall, um, with the guitar, and that's why this match is happening. All of that. That's why this match is happening. And of course, Jay Lethal did not show up during this match. Only Aaron. Oh, no, Jay Lethal did show up in the middle to stop Aaron Solo from interfering again. And QT did not win again. So, what was the point of having this match? Uh, QT has been on this role of a character change since feuding with Big Boom AJ, where a he thinks he's a viral internet star, even though he only got all of those clicks because of Big Boom AJ.
Yeah, he's now adopted the moniker. He's the bringer of doom because Big
Yes,
Boom AJ brings the boom.
yes. So QT thinks he's an internet star who's making everybody famous when nobody cares about him.
Okay.
Sorry, QT, you're a great wrestler, but obviously, I think you're aware of that. You're playing the character. um. So yeah, Jeff Jarrett just wins after QT had hit Jeff Jarrett with the stroke at some point in this match. Hit the Diamond Cutter, which was passed down to him from Diamond Dallas Page, but all the shenanigans resulted in Jeff Jarrett just winning. And after the match, Jeff Jarrett is in the back with his family and says that he is going to have an announcement about his career on the first Dynamite on Max. No implication of what that is. People obviously are presuming retirement tour, considering the man is almost 60.
Yeah.
So we'll see, I guess. It's very well documented. I don't need to see Jeff Jarrett in AEW. I've seen enough of Jeff Jarrett in AEW.
Well, we don't need Jeff Jarrett on AEW television. Like,
No,
I'm sure
he can work backstage.
Yeah. I'm sure he's already doing that. I think they brought him in originally to help coordinate or build up a live event.
Yes, and he was doing the pre-shows.
Right.
He's doing the pre-shows.
But yeah, to your chagrin, for the longest time, he was on like TV, taking up time from probably, some younger, fresher talent.
Well,
I mean, who can forget the Texas Chainsaw Massacre death match?
I can.
With Jeff Hardy.
I can.
And apparently a Michael Myers stand-in and a whole bunch of other random shit.
Yeah, so we'll see what Jeff Jarrett's announcement is. Like we said, we presume that's what it is.
I mean, the way the way they played that off was they made it sound like it was really serious, and that everybody in this little group was like, "No, we're against it." So it had to.
What are you talking about?
I mean, I'm talking about Jay Lethal was like, and like Satnam and Satnam and like Sanjay. They were all looking like, "What the heck are you doing, Jeff? No, what are you doing?" Right?
Yeah.
So they're all playing off to this thing where they're like, "What are you doing, Jeff? Can't leave." Or I mean, he's not saying he's leaving. He's just saying he's got an announcement. But he said he had talked to Karen about it. So when you talk to your wife about something monumental in your life that relates to your career, then it's got to be that.
It's easy to presume retirement.
It's easy to presume.
Yeah, we'll see. So the last match on the 0 Hour was an 8-man tag. It was Top Flight teaming with the Outrunners to take on the team of Action Andretti and Leo Rush, who do not have a team name, even though the internet thinks they should be called Rush to Action. And,
that sounds cool.
And they teamed with the Murder Machines, Brian Cage and Lance Archer.
See, that's a cool name.
Yes, well, because they just put their nicknames together. He's the Murder Hawk Monster, and he's the Machine.
Well, those two aren't. Well, I'm sorry, but Leo and Action are not rushing to action anytime soon, wearing those weird ass jackets they've been wearing.
Well, they earned a tag title shot, so they're doing something.
Those things look worse than those Legion of Doom shoulder pad knockoff jackets or whatever, like the Goombas from the bad guys from Mario.
Spikies?
Like the spiky turtles or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a weird fashion choice.
Yes. So yes, they come out with these spiky jackets.
Yeah.
They are a lot.
It's Seth freaking Rollins level of excess.
But this match was fine. All 4 of these teams are great. They work great. All of them are kind of in the running for the tag titles, even though Leo and Action have a shot coming up after beating Top Flight in a standard tag match last week. So they will be challenging for the titles this coming week on Collision. And the match was fine. A lot of great little spots here for the high flyer guys. Lance Archer and Brian Cage bringing in the power. Brian Cage and Lance Archer do that combination powerbomb choke slam, which really adds zero impact. It's just one move with 2 people doing it at the same time. but it's something, I guess. Brian Cage looks like a jacked Bobby Roode with a full beard. Um, People were saying this is his final form, which is hilarious. Um, but yeah, Leo and Action did not get along with their teammates, and they did a blind tag while uh, Archer and Cage were trying to secure the victory, and uh, Leo Rush stole the victory with a frog splash. And Action Andretti and Leo Rush taunted their partners after the match, while Brian Cage and Lance Archer looked very upset about winning. And then the tag champs came out to stare down pretty much everybody, even though they have a match with Leo and Action coming up. So the tag team division is, on the rise, I guess, again. Got some younger teams in there, got some newer teams in there. So we'll see what happens. I presume that match between Action and Leo against Private Party will be very good. So, your
Yeah.
thoughts?
I mean, I really saw this whole match as a sort of preview of like the tag team division. Now that
Yeah.
we've moved on from the Young Bucks and it's the Private Party
Yes.
that's got the championships now, and seeing who's going to be stepping up. I mean, they have to push some new tag teams. They're looking to split up the Acclaimed at this point, and some other tag teams we know that are around are kind of locked in feuds with other groups at the moment. So
Yep.
I love they're pushing these new guys, the Outrunners, Rush to Action. What if that becomes their name?
Yeah.
Still got Top Flight in the mix there, and yeah, there's always like yeah, just they need more teams. I mean, the tag division was kind of getting a little flatlining a bit. Not saying it was terrible, but it was like,
Well, because it got to a period where it was just FTR and Young Bucks over and
yeah, right.
over
And then
and
and then they
over
were
again.
and then they were doing the thing
And
where you don't like, where they're just putting two singles guys together as a team, and
yes,
then those guys end up winning the tag titles. So,
yeah.
and then they move it back to another team again. So
So
now they're good.
I like that we're seeing newer teams getting opportunities. We're seeing newer teams get momentum. And yeah, Private Party has had some good matches as champs so far, and we'll see how everything else goes going forward. So let's get into the main card. And the opening matchup was one of the best matchups on the
Yeah,
entire show. Uh, it was the
yeah. It
rematch
was the Gold
between,
League runner up. Yeah, Will
yes,
Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher.
yes.
The
So
way they set it up was the runner up to the Gold League would face I guess the
winner
runner
of
up
the
the
Blue
Blue
League.
League, winner
No,
of the Blue League. This is so
yes,
confusing, but it's basically Will Ospreay, Kyle Fletcher two, as far as I know, as an actual feud.
yes,
Um,
yes.
yeah,
Yeah. So and yeah, these guys absolutely killed it, as expected since their last match. Um, and Will Osprey gets busted pretty early and bleeds a lot.
yes, he was almost cosplaying Kane at one point. I thought. I mean, his face was so red that at one point when he and Kyle were headbutting each other, Kyle started getting covered in Will's blood to a point where I forgot if Kyle got busted open too. So there's that. And the way they did, there was a lot of blood in this whole pay per view,
Yes.
and the way they just made them drip like that, it just looks wow. You're like, what the heck did they hit? I had to like do a little rewind on the show to just like for the last 10 back to like 10 seconds ago, just to see like what the heck happened again. I'm like,
Yeah.
because
And
sometimes it happens so fast, and then suddenly, oh, he's dripping blood. I'm like, how, you know?
yeah. Uh, and then there was a moment like right after that happened where Fletcher took control and he just hit multiple lawn darts on on Osprey, just busting him even more because he's already bleeding, and you're just launching his face into the turnbuckle multiple times, which was crazy. Yeah, there was a lot of great moments in this match. A lot of and this match built. So it wasn't a very long match, but the way that they laid it out was that it started off slow and methodical, and then just quickly built up to the finish. Um, and this has been a trend, obviously, in Will Ospreay matches because they tend to go this way, and that's why they are so good because they tell the right story in the ring. The story in this match was that he wanted to get his win back over his former friend who turned on him, and it just so happened to be for a prize that they both wanted, but Kyle needed it more than Will, and Will takes it away from him, essentially, because Will finds the power he needs to get the upper hand, and Osprey ends up winning with a Styles Clash, which he's never finished a match with before. He
Mm.
started doing the move like last year, and he's been doing it semi frequently in his matches, but he's never won a match with it before. So that was very surprising. But yeah, there was a lot of great back and forth action. They were trading hidden blades at one point. Um, and yeah, Osprey gets the win in a hell of a match to move on to the finals. What were your overall thoughts of this match?
I thought Will was going to win because Kyle,
Yeah.
when they first had the match at Full Gear, Kyle went over, which Kyle needed, and really Will needed this back. And so when I saw them face each other at the match's conclusion, Kyle's looking pissed off, Will just sticking his fingers up in the air, basically saying we're now even. So I'm definitely sensing a rubber match down the road at some point.
Yep.
Who knows when? Um, I kind of like these little I don't know what you called it, but when Will was walking back towards the entrance ramp towards the tunnel, he sort of marked this territory and left his blood on the
Yes.
ring
So
entrance there.
so his
The
blood was
entrance.
all over. His
Yeah,
blood
his
was
blood was
all over.
all over his face, obviously. So and he had to get like patched up a bit. And later when he came out for his match, his the finals for the Continental Classic, he was
Yeah.
still pretty banged up. So there was a so that played into the story of that, right?
Yeah. So Kyle Fletcher, unfortunately, eliminated. Will Ospreay moves on. So that brings us to the next match, which was the second tournament semifinal, which was Okada versus Ricochet. I believe that when we initially talked about the Continental Classic, when we talked about storylines going on in wrestling, this was our final four. So we were pretty accurate on that, and our final was pretty much what we expected. So Ricochet and Okada, I, as far as I am aware, have never had a singles match. I'm sure they've had tag matches before because when Ricochet was in New Japan before going to WWE, he was specifically in the juniors division. So I don't know if they ever had a singles match, as far as I know. Um, but it, this match was definitely not like the first one. This was more technical. This was more um, grounded, and I thought that it was a great match. That Ricochet looked good as he always does. I've liked this recent character change for him, where he is being more cocky about his in-ring abilities, and the fans are turning on him for it. And he has now adopted people throwing toilet paper at him, which is an homage to early ROH stuff when they were doing that to Jimmy Rave in ROH. And even though they respected the fact that Jimmy Rave was a great wrestler, so it's pretty much the same thing. Ricochet is um, having great matches and killing it, but the fans just don't want to
Yeah,
deal with him.
yeah. Ricochet. I don't know. Like it's funny. Like he came in with a lot of fanfare. People were very happy to see him here in AEW, and then it just kind of. And I think this was it helped that he turned heel because I was getting concerned that he just keep doing this baby face stuff and he was just gonna get lost in the mix. Oh, just another high flying guy, blah blah blah. And then the stuff with the Hurt Syndicate happened.
Yep,
He gets the card and then he gets too attached. He's like, "Hey MVP, did you see my match? Hey Bobby, did you see my match?" And then the
yep,
guys are like, "Stop kissing our ass." Which is so funny because they were the ones who was passing out the business card, and now that he's getting a little too attention grabbing, they've kind of almost rescinded the offer to join their group. So now Ricochet's left all alone. The toilet paper thing.
yep,
I apparently during this match of Okada, I heard them singing a "Na Na Na You're Bald" song.
yep.
Sung to the tune of the "Na Na Na Hey Hey Goodbye" song.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
okay, yeah, he's been bald for years. I don't know why that's a thing.
It's just a thing just another thing that they could throw at him to get under his skin.
But
Uh,
yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, yeah, it's just I don't know if this was organic in the way the fans turned against him, or if they just sensed something and they just got like him to do like you know, I mean, it wasn't like when Rocky Maivia was just told to smile a lot, but it wasn't
yeah,
like Ricochet was smiling all the time. But it was just like
yeah.
got to a point where it's just like I don't know. I think you're better off as being a little bit of a dick. So
Uh huh.
yeah,
So
cut loose, Ricky.
So this match was very good. There was a moment in the match where Ricochet was going for a tombstone. Uh, Okada was going for a tombstone, and Ricochet turned it around into the vertigo for a near fall. That was a great spot. Um, then there was the Ricochet attempts the spirit gun, which is his version of the hidden blade. Um, and Okada reverses it into a spinning power slam, and then he hits a rainmaker and gets a near fall. Um, then there was another sequence where he goes for he hit a shooting star press after the near fall from the vertigo, and then um, that's when he runs at Okada for another spirit gun attempt, caught into a
Like a
power, power.
spinning kind of spinning power slam.
Yeah, it was like a spinning power slam. Then he hit the Rainmaker for the victory.
Right.
Um, and then after the match, Okada just
Uh,
leaves.
yeah.
Okada just leaves, and then Ricochet is standing in the ring, kind of like flabbergasted that he lost because he guaranteed he was going to win.
Mm.
And out comes Swerve Strickland. So reports were out that he was there. Obviously, he was not booked because he did not have a match. So people were kind of wondering why he was there. These two had an interaction recently, and Swerve basically said that Ricochet has always been this way, always been a cocky dick, um, and always felt that he was better than everybody. And Swerve says that Ricochet had a lot of nerve saying that AEW exists because of him, or he's one of the reasons why AEW exists, and that he was going to uh, see him after he guaranteed victory and he lost. So he says that he has a present for Ricochet for the new year to celebrate the new year. And out comes Prince Nana with a wagon full of toilet paper.
Which he
And
then proceeds to pass out to fans at ringside in the front row.
yes. So he says that his present for him is that he wants to wish him a happy new year. And he Ricochet just stands there, doesn't do anything, doesn't leave, doesn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Uh so he tells the fans to count down with him to wish Trevor a happy new year.
Mm.
And they do that by throwing the toilet paper at him, which was a perfect sight, good visual. Two of the rolls landed on his shoulders, so it looked really cool. And Ricochet looked very, very angry. So this is obviously going to continue, but Swerve is also not done with the Hurt Syndicate. So, as evident by last week when he attacked them during Shelton's match. So part of me thinks that Ricochet is going to end up in that group, or at least associated, and Swerve has to find some friends. But I'm sure these two will have a singles match before that. So
Yeah, and I would like to see that. I mean, that's a bit of a throwback to the old Lucha Underground days when they
yes,
were both on there under masks. So now we get to see them as themselves for the
yes.
most part.
Ricochet was under the moniker of Prince Puma,
Yes.
and Swerve Strickland was under the moniker of Killshot.
Yeah, like they've done stuff like this before. When Dante Fox showed up, they had a match between Swerve and Dante Fox. I mean,
Yep.
they only mentioned that they had passed. They didn't mention anything about specifically it was Lucha Underground per se, but it was still a good
Yes. Well,
fallback. So
and
that's
Swerve and Ricochet have a past that goes farther than that from the indies. So they can definitely play into that as well. So yeah, we'll see where that leads us into more of this Hurt Syndicate stuff and whatever Ricochet's involvement will be. So the next match was the AEW Women's Championship match contested under Tijuana street fight rules, which is just a street fight with a bunch of Mexican stuff. Essentially.
right. Yeah, this was something. Thunder Rosa comes out with a pinata, which you speculated was filled with thumbtacks, which you turned out to be correct.
Yes.
Mariah May comes in wearing a pair of pants with way too many pockets, which made me speculate
Those are
what the
called
hell
cargo pants.
the cargo pants. I'm wondering what the hell is in her pockets of her cargo pants. There's like a bunch of boards set up at the ring entrances, as though they're like in the main
Yeah.
streets of Tijuana, where there's like graffitied fences.
And
Thunder
there
Rosa
was
brought her, but Thunder Rosa has her dad at ringside, who
yes.
apparently brought a bag filled with the graveyard soil of the graveyards of Tijuana. I'm sure it was just
Yes.
nutmeg or something.
Yeah.
A couple of
And there
lowriders, bikes up there
yeah.
around the entrance too, and but yes, it was
Yeah.
essentially a street fight, a Tijuana street fight in Orlando, Florida. Was because it's Thunder Rosa. It's like, yeah, it's my thing. Um, I was expecting. I mean, I thought when they first set this match, I was like, oh, that's surprising that Thunder's willing to go over, go let Mariah go over on a match that should be her specialty. So they must be really
Yes.
invested in this Mariah May championship reign.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
I
I mean, this
thought
match started
this match
hot.
was
This match started hot. Mariah's getting the face of Daddy Thunder Rosa's dad, and then Thunder's just attacking her on the floor.
yep.
And this is also like one of those falls count anywhere matches, so they can pin them anywhere.
Yes. While they were fighting on the floor, a bottle of tequila was introduced.
Yes.
And Mariah chugs the tequila and then spits it in Thunder Rosa's face.
Right.
And then yeah, they fight up the ramp. That's when one of those wooden boards was introduced.
Yeah.
And Thunder Rosa spears her through one of the boards. And then Thunder Rosa opens the pinata, which reveals the thumbtacks. And of course, they get used against her because That's what always happens when somebody introduces thumbtacks. They get
Yeah.
used against the person that introduced them.
Yeah, I laughed when Nigel said, "Oh no, please don't let Mariah's virgin skin be penetrated by tacks." And I'm like, "Oh yes, the virgin Mariah May, of course."
Well, she's probably a thumbtack virgin.
Yeah, yeah, yes. I'm sure she
Um,
is.
I mean, I know I am. I've never been slammed in thumbtacks. Have you?
Yes, no, I have not. That is true.
uh,
At one
so
point,
yeah,
Mariah takes the cane from Thunder Rosa's dad and basically does
yes, a
I'm a
walking
crippled old
cane.
man,
Yes, a walking cane, not
a
a
walking
Singapore
cane.
cane. A
No, a
walking
walking
cane.
cane was used as a weapon. I'm like,
And
really?
yes, she mocks Thunder Rosa's dad, and then wraps barbed wire around her leg, uh, and tries to charge at Thunder Rosa, who's on the ground near the steps, and rams her own knee into the steps. And then Thunder uses a table as a launching pad and hits a drop kick. So she had a table that was down on like an angle, and she ran up the table and hit a drop kick on the floor. And Thunder is choking Mariah out with a chain, and Mariah gets that bag of dirt that you mentioned, and opens it and throws it at Thunder's face,
I
or
swear
grabs a handful.
I swear she missed the first time. It looked kind of off. Like she threw it in Thunder's
Yeah,
mouth, it looks like, and then she threw it again.
well, I mean
And
that.
then they had to simulate that. Oh yeah, oh I'm blinded. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So then after that she
I believe she
she
got the roll up
she
or something.
no, she hits a pile driver off the apron
Oh yes, the pile
into
driver off the apron into a table.
yes,
And that's how the match ended. Yeah.
because it was false count anywhere, she got the pin right
Yes, that
there
is true. That is
to
correct.
retain. Yes. So I thought this was a fun match. Obviously these matches are not for everybody. And we've seen a lot worse, especially in AEW. But I thought that this match did its job and made Mariah look good in winning a match that Thunder Rosa should win, and helped Mariah even further in solidifying her reign as champion. Um, so yeah, we'll see what's next for Mariah. Nothing was teased on this show, so the next match is the match that we were waiting to happen just so that this feud would end. It is
Hopefully it'll end, but
yes,
let's take a look. It's the Adam Cole versus MJF for the Dynamite Diamond Ring, which now has its own graphic, like it's an actual championship. I mean, it took
yes,
5 years for them to.
yes,
So yeah,
and
MJF was.
they're selling it. They're selling
Yeah,
it as
yeah.
something you can buy.
You predicted a Adam Cole victory, which
Well, because I was hoping
because we
that
were
the ring.
thinking like he's had this ring for 5 years. It's the ring is almost an afterthought to this feud, this whole
Yeah.
feud, if you want to call it that.
Yep.
I mean, the match was okay. I mean, I mean, again, blood was involved
Very early again.
very early. Yeah,
Um. Yeah. He threw him headfirst into the steel steps, and that caused him to bleed. Uh. So they're back in the ring. MJF hits that power bomb backbreaker that he's been doing, which I love. Gets a near fall. Then Adam Cole goes for the Panama Sunrise. Oh no, MJF goes for the Panama Sunrise, but Cole reverses it with a super kick, and Cole attempts the Panama Sunrise of his own, but plays up his injuries with his ankle, which then MJF takes advantage, uh, and MJF is now busted open after being rammed into the ring post. Um, Cole takes advantage and hits a Panama Sunrise. And then hits his finisher, lower the boom, for a near fall. So yeah, we talked about how this ring just doesn't. The ring needs to go away.
So the ring
So
was actually sitting in like a stand and inside a little
yeah,
case,
as
and
a
it
prize,
as a
yes,
prize, and so Adam had Matt Taven and Mike Bennett stand out there around it so to prevent Max from using said ring. But
yes,
what Max did was actually very clever. When he's on the outside, he's kind of staring down Taven and Bennett. So he slams himself either into the ring steps or fakes it, like
yes,
it does that little Eddie Guerrero move.
yep,
The referee turns around and assumes that the Kingdom attacked Max and then
yep.
sends them to the back, which is absolute genius.
Yes.
And
So
then so Matt,
while the ref is distracted
yeah,
trying to get rid of Taven and Bennett, MJF has the ring and tries to use it, but Adam Cole hits a super kick and then takes the ring and then goes to use it himself. But
yep,
MJF hits a low blow, then hits
mhm,
the heat seeker and then wins.
yeah, and I was
So
like, oh, huh,
and that was that. So after the match, the security that was brought out to take Taven and Bennett out of the ring are still preventing them from going in the ring, even though the match is over, which doesn't make any sense.
right. Meanwhile,
And
Max has now got a steel chair around Adam's
yes,
ankle in an
yes,
attempt
he
to,
says he's going to end his career. He's going to Pillmanize his leg, and the music of the Undisputed Kingdom plays, and out comes a returning Roddy Strong, who I think people presumed was going to turn on Adam, but
yeah,
he
I
did
was,
not. Um, he chased off MJF, who was going up the ramp, and then out comes Kyle O'Reilly. And MJF tries to reason with Kyle O'Reilly, like, come on, that guy's not really your friend.
just
Come on.
standing next to each other, and the
Yeah,
MJF is like, "Oh, look at that ring!"
yeah. So then MJF runs to the ring. Well, Kyle O'Reilly brings him back to the ring, and
Yeah,
he's cornered between uh Roddy and Kyle, and they hit their version of the total elimination on MJF.
hmm
Then Adam Cole gets back up. They hold him, and he hits a super kick.
no, he hits Max in the face with the
Oh,
ring.
he hits him with the ring. Okay,
Yeah, because
yeah.
all this time, Adam still had the ring on his finger,
Oh
even
yeah,
after
he
this
still
thing
had it on his
happened.
hand. Yep,
And
yep,
then I
yep.
was thinking to myself, "Oh, Max won the match. I think he should get the ring back. It's still on Adam's hand." and so
Yes,
yeah, Adam gets his comeuppance on Mr. Friedman there, and then
yes.
Taven and Bennett somehow are let back in the ring now, and they have a big reunion in the ring, and it's the original Undisputed
It,
Era reunion.
it's the original the original Kingdom, along with members of the Undisputed Era, but not Bobby
Yes.
Fish.
Now, yeah. So I mean, it's a pretty cool group if you got these five together. But
Yeah.
here's a question that someone raised. I believe it's Drainmaker from
Yes.
X in Twitter.
Yes.
He's like he posted a clip of when Cole, Roddy, and Kyle were hugging, and apparently there was a bunch of boos in the background. Now I didn't hear the boos when I was watching it
I
live
didn't
on
either.
Triller. I was hearing cheers, so I don't know whether this was a swerve or a deep fake or something. But I'm thinking to myself, that's not too far off. I mean, like this whole thing started because Adam brought these guys together to turn on his supposed friend MJF, but the reasoning was, oh, Max was going to turn on me regardless anyway. But it's like
Yep.
right now you're the baby faces, but you guys are 5-on-1 against the heel who's you just laid
Yeah.
out. So I'm like,
Um.
am I really supposed to boo Max? Because I'm just remember if I have to think about this feud again from a year back, it's like you guys started this, so
Yeah.
because of injuries, you couldn't conclude it in a reasonable time, which is why
Yeah.
it took a year for you to finish the storyline.
So after this match, the Undisputed Kingdom altogether did an exclusive promo, uh, and Taven and Bennett addressed that the fans expected them to turn on him,
Oh,
which they were like, oh, we're not. Why would we do that? We have no reason to do that. And Kyle essentially said like, oh, it's so good to be home, even though he he declined to join this group like on 3 separate occasions. And he was part of another group that I guess just doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. I'm not listening to the audio. I see the tweet that's been posted from AEW. Yes, it apparently Kyle has now taken Wardlow's spot in this group.
Yeah.
Which actually makes a little more sense than Wardlow, who
Yes.
unfortunately has not been
He's been
seen.
injured,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
and they really hadn't had anything for him since he kind
Yes.
of was with the group in
Well,
the
I
first place.
believe he's still hurt,
But
which is
yeah, it's like
unfortunate. But
at this point, yeah, I guess the feud's over. I mean, I sorry, I haven't listened to this exclusive post-match interview, but I mean, what else are they gonna do? They're back together. I guess
yeah.
they can run rushshot, start collecting championships like they're supposed to.
Yep.
I mean, you need more factions considering this whole company's been overrun by like a psychopath and his minions for the last couple of months,
Yes.
right? So,
Yes. So yeah, the
and I don't know what's next for MJF at this point. It's
yeah,
I don't know.
I'm hoping
Happy Gilmore just finished filming, so he doesn't have any more film projects to do. So what now?
right. Yeah, I
I
guess
just I
we'll
just said to
find
you
out.
privately, he needs friends. I think he needs some friends. Like
Yeah.
maybe he tried a friend thing again. I know he's not doesn't have a good track record on friends, but maybe he kind of needs something at this point.
No, he does not.
Maybe we'll just go back to that. But we'll just go back to that dark mansion that he had been hiding in for the last couple of weeks, and just
Yes.
take some time off.
Yeah. I guess we'll see what's next. As we mentioned, I hope it's not this feud continuing.
It's like we need another segment for this.
Yeah.
No, we don't.
No, we do not. All right. So the next match on the card was the International Championship on the line. Konosuke Takeshita against Powerhouse Will Hobbs. So this match started off very slow, but it started to pick up, and people really started to started to get into it, and ended up being a pretty good match, all things considered. So Hobbs, the story going into this match was obviously, in the recent months, was that Hobbs was excommunicated from the Callis family when he got injured, and John Callis never checked on him, never answered his phone calls, never answered his texts, and Don Callis basically said that he needs killers, he needs people who could stay healthy, stay by his side. So he replaced him with 2 monsters. And so Hobbs, who picked up a little momentum leading into this match, wanted a shot at Takeshita to get back at Don Callis. So this match was very early. Takeshita goes after the knee, which was what kept Hobbs out for a good amount of time. And Hobbs runs through a clothesline attempt by Takeshita by overpowering him, and hits a big running crossbody, which is not something that Hobbs has done before. He's starting to show more athleticism, and then they have they did the whole meat exchange where they're hitting clotheslines but nobody's going down, and the crowd is just chanting meat. Basically the same exact thing that happened with Hobbs and Miro. Man, I miss Miro. So then after Takeshita gets the upper hand, Hobbs gets the upper hand by hitting a bigger clothesline after running off the ropes, and turns Takeshita inside out. Takeshita hits a chop block on the injured knee, and after trying to hit the Blue Thunder Bomb earlier, but hits a chop block and then hits it again and gets a near fall on the Blue Thunder Bomb. And Don Callis is beside himself when this happens. He could not believe that Will Hobbs kicked out of the Blue Thunder Bomb, even though Takeshita doesn't normally finish matches with that move. He has finished matches with that move, but Don Callis, of course, on commentary for this match, and Hobbs powers up, it hits another lariat, another near fall, big superplex into a diving senton by Takeshita. Goes for the running knee, but Hobbs catches him with a spine buster for another near fall. And then an avalanche power slam by Hobbs. Hobbs removes his knee brace to alleviate pressure to his leg.
Didn't he get Aubrey to help him take the knee brace off?
Well,
I was like,
yes,
I had
because
never seen a referee.
he was having trouble. He was having trouble.
Yeah.
He was having trouble. So he loosened it, but he couldn't get it off his foot.
Interesting.
And then Takeshita took advantage of this and just locked in a guillotine for a couple of seconds, and then hit the Raging Fire for the victory. I thought this was a very good match. I enjoyed it for what it was. I thought Hobbs looked very good, and it's one of the better matches he's had since coming back.
Pretty solid. Takeshita needed to win because he is going on to New Japan's Wrestle Dynasty on January 5th to defend against Shingo Takagi, right?
January 4th, which is Wrestle Kingdom, he's defending against Shingo.
Okay.
Title for title.
Okay.
The never open weight and the international. And then the winner is going to Wrestle Dynasty the next night to defend against Tomohiro Ishii.
Oh. So it's title for title. So whoever wins will have 2 titles.
Yep.
And whoever faces Ishii would be defending both titles or just one?
I don't know if they're defending both or if they're just defending international. That I don't know.
Interesting. So either we'll get a new international champion or Takeshi's coming back with another belt, which I could reasonably foresee that happening.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. I hope that I'm hoping that Takeshita versus Takagi is a hell of a match because Takagi is one of my favorite wrestlers in New Japan, and Takeshita's been killing it, obviously. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. The next match, which somehow better than the first time that these two met, is a rematch for the TBS Championship. It's Mercedes Moné defending against Chris Statlander. This match was so good, and they built this match up throughout it. It really had it had like a momentum shift at some point where it was like very slow and methodical, and then the energy just picked up as the match went on, and it was a lot longer than I thought it would be. But Mercedes was just doing everything to try to stop Chris. She was throwing everything at her, and Chris was just kicking out of everything. She would not quit, no matter what. And it just came down to her just running out of energy at the end. So this match starts off very they're exchanging like wrestling moves. They're like, doing like hip tosses and stuff. And they're at one point Mercedes is on top, is down, and after a slam from Chris, and Chris picks her up from a pinning position and just does a fall away slam, showing off her power. And then Mercedes reverses a top rope exchange, hits a power bomb off the top rope onto the apron. And commentary acknowledges that Chris fell awkwardly on her hip on this bump. So they Mercedes gets the advantage after that and allows Stat to get up to hit a diving senton. And then Stat counters that by catching the diving senton and just hits a power bomb. Mercedes is like on her knees on Chris's shoulders, and she turns that into a power bomb. It was very cool looking. Stat hits a deadlift German for a near fall, and then follows that up with a spinning Falcon Arrow, another near fall. Double rotation tornado DDT by Mercedes. So she goes for a tornado DDT, and Stat kind of tries to turn it around and bring it to the ropes, but then Mercedes just bounces off the ropes and hits another rotation, and then hits a DDT. That was very cool. Then Mercedes goes for the three amigos, but she does it 7 times, targeting the lower back of Chris Statlander after that apron bump from earlier. So she does 7 amigos instead of 3. And hits a frog splash for another near fall. Stat counters a backslide attempt into a package pile driver, another near fall. There's a lot of near falls in this match. They fell through the ropes, and as they're falling through the ropes, the ring skirt falls off, and I guess they like got caught on it. Obviously, I think this was planned for the spot that they ended up doing, but it looks so fluent that it looked like it was an accident. So they're on the floor, and the ring skirt of the apron is just not on it anymore, on the side facing the commentary. And Mercedes hits the moneymaker on the floor, which actually was one of the more fluent ones that she's ever done. And then goes after, breaks the count because she almost got a count out victory, and goes back out and then puts Chris's leg in between the ring skirt, the ring mat, and the cabling that keeps the ring mat on the mat, and almost gets another count out. But Chris takes her boot off so she can get her foot out of the ring and breaks the count at 9. And this is when Chris gets back into the ring, and Mercedes is like sitting down celebrating at the ropes. And Mercedes just turns her head and sees Chris right next to her, and she just gets really angry because she just wanted to win with the count out to get this match out of the way. So back in the ring, a sit out tombstone on the apron by Mercedes. And this is the kind of tombstone that you don't see very often because it's very dangerous. This is the Owen Hart, Steve Austin tombstone. But the way that Mercedes did it was the way you're supposed to do it. So it actually looked very gnarly, but it was done perfectly. So then you get another countout attempt and another return to the ring at 9 by Statlander. So then Mercedes hits the statement maker into an S and then transitions into an STF, but Stat gets to the ropes. Mercedes countered Saturday Night Fever into a transition that was almost like a seatbelt pin and gets the victory. So at that point, Mercedes just she threw everything, and Stat just ran out of energy. It was there was just she had nothing left, to the point where she just couldn't kick out of a wrestling move, which I loved. I love this match. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it was pretty solid. I had on background, to be honest, but I did see some of the interactions and just like, and I was thinking, as it was going on, I was like, wow, this match is going on really long, and I was like, oh, they're really giving some time into this. I mean, I was expecting Mercedes to win, but
Hmm.
and the one thing I took away from this whole thing was the emotion that she showed afterwards.
Yep.
Like she was like just almost crying as though like this was literally the toughest match she's had.
So
And they talked about how she won by the skin of her teeth and that sort of thing. And I'm like, yeah, sometimes champions do win by the skin of their teeth or the seat of their pants. It's not like
hmm
they're not always gonna have a dominant run. It's like you're gonna face somebody who might be more dominant than you, so you gotta figure out how to survive. And now Mercedes can move on to Japan and face Mina Shirakawa for the
yep.
in the double title match. So fascinating to see where it goes from there. Wondering where that leads Chris Statlander. Just leave her as a contender for the AEW Women's World Title instead.
Yeah.
She hasn't had that yet.
She hasn't even challenged for it, which is
No.
surprising because I thought that she was going to do that, and we discussed how we thought she was going to do that after she beat Willow, because she won that feud. She beat Willow, but
Yeah.
instead Willow got a shot at the world title, which doesn't make any
Strange.
sense. Um. So yeah. And most recently, she helped Willow when Willow was being attacked. And I guess they're just trying to mend their friendship, because I guess Statlander's excuse will be, "Oh, it was all Stokely's fault." Um, so I don't know. We'll see where that goes. Um, Willow also has a match on January 5th. She is in the Fatal 4-Way Women's Cup match, or I don't even remember what it's called. But it's four women from four different brands. Um, Willow representing.
It's called the International Women's Cup Final Four-Way Match.
That's it.
Winner receives a women's championship match from the participating promotion of their choosing. So Willow's
Okay.
there representing AEW. Athena's there for Ring of Honor.
Yep.
Momo Watanabe from Stardom and Persephone from CMLL.
Yes. So that should be a fun match as well. So yeah, we'll see what's next for Mercedes and Chris Statlander. I hope that Statlander bounces back from this because she's great. She deserves to be a champion. But it's not time for Mercedes to lose that belt. I don't know when it is, but the right person has to come along to be the one. Um, so yeah, the next match on the show here is our final for the C2. It is Will Ospreay versus Kazuchika Okada. This is not the first time these two have faced this year. It's the first time they have faced in AEW. They faced at Battle in the Valley for New Japan in January. That was presumably Will Ospreay's last, at the time, because we didn't know Okada was coming in. His last match with Okada at the time. So then, here we are, the finals of the C2, the final that we expected, the final that we predicted. And yeah, Will Ospreay comes out bandaged around the head, big bandages around the head,
Mhm.
dry blood all over his face.
Yep, as I mentioned earlier.
And
It was
at some point, the bandages just come off and he starts bleeding again.
yep. I mean, what you expect? It's like
Yeah.
like a half-ass tape bandage. Like
Yeah.
you're going up against like one of the best wrestlers in the planet. So
Yep. Yep. So a lot of targeting the head, obviously, by Okada very early. He hits multiple DDTs very early in the match, two of them on the outside of the ring, and then hits another one inside the ring. And Jim Ross, who was brought onto commentary for the last two matches of the show, was like, I can't believe he kicked out of those DDTs after all the damage he took in that first match. um, but yeah, so the band, as I said, the bandages previously covering the cuts come off. Osprey counters some corner offense by Okada into a suplex, which is where Ospreay finally gets some offense in after like the 5 minutes into the match. And Ospreay goes to the top rope. Okada hits his patented drop kick, and Ospreay gets hung up in the ropes on his knee and favors the knee for a while after that. And Ospreay hits an Os cutter on the floor. He bounces off the apron instead of the ropes. Or it was like the barricade, I think. And beats a count out and diving drop kick and another Os cutter in the ring. Okada hits another drop kick, goes for the Rainmaker, but Ospreay turns it into a power bomb followed by a Styles Clash. So he hits a power bomb, then keeps the hold, and then after he kicked out, hits a Styles Clash. Then Okada regains the momentum and hits a Rainmaker for a near fall of his own. Okada hits the German suplex followed by the Rainmaker, and Ospreay turns that into a Spanish fly. He reversed the Rainmaker by catching the arm and doing a Spanish fly. That was so cool. And at some point, Okada Ospreay is just dead on his feet again. And this is something that he's done a lot also this year. Ospreay is guilty of expending all of his energy to the point where he just can't go anymore. And that's kind of where he was in this match, mainly because he was bleeding from the previous match. And Okada, at some point, just hits another Rainmaker and gets the victory. So Okada retains the Continental Championship by winning the C2. So this is the second year in a row since its inception where, Eddie Kingston came in as the ROH champ and was defending that belt while also going for the Continental belt.
Right. And last year was the first time the Continental belt was put up for contention. So Eddie wasn't the Continental champion then, but I guess you're just saying he came in as a
champion.
Yes. He put up both his other titles on the line, so the winner would get all three of them. Yes. This year is just that Continental title.
Yes. Right. So Okada defends the championship after winning the tournament. So and they acknowledge that this is his fifth major tournament victory after he has won the G1 previously 4 times and now winning this.
Yes. The outcome was not as surprising as I would have thought. At one point I was thinking, Will could be the Continental champion, but he doesn't need that title right now. And it's like, why would you have taken off Okada at this point? I don't really know.
Well, there's there
might be a reason because after post match, Christopher Daniels comes out and says, "Congratulations, Mr. Okada. Normally, I would come down there and present you with this title, but as of right now, I am no longer the EVP of AEW." And then everybody's like, "Oh, what's going on?" But this man is, and then you hear the Kenny Omega music, and out comes Kenny Omega in a power suit, resuming his duties as EVP, as the Young Bucks and Jack Perry have now decided to hide in Japan for what it's worth.
Yes.
Yes. Kenny Omega gone for almost a year or so from active in-ring competition in AEW, walks down the ring with the Continental title, presents it to Okada. They have a very quiet stare down. Not a word exchange. There was one camera shot where they had Okada and Kenny looking at each other with the All In Texas sign in the background. All In Texas will take place in July of 2025. I don't know if that's just a foreshadowing of what's to come, but Kenny quietly leaves the ring. So Kenny is scheduled to be wrestling in New Japan against Gabe Kidd, as I understand it. But as for his in-ring career in AEW, I have no idea. He could be an on-screen authority figure in 2025, Mike, and that is we. Like, I think we can actually kind of need that at this point
Uh,
because, frankly, for the last few months, you would if you didn't watch the product, you would think that John Moxley was the EVP of AEW or something. But
uh, yeah.
yeah,
I'm intrigued to see what they're gonna do with
yeah.
Kenny going forward. Obviously, as you said, he has the January 5th match with Gabe Kidd, and that was built up um,
I mean, you
on New
speculate.
Japan
You were
programming.
speculating that Kenny Omega would hopefully make some kind of appearance, but he showed up for this segment and not
Yes.
the other segment you were thinking of. So
Well, because I thought that they, as you mentioned, I thought that they were going to wait to do that because
yeah,
if you're gonna save that for All In Texas, that's not until July,
hmm
and it's December. That's 7 months away. You're not gonna have them interacting for 7 months to build to the match. I mean, it's possible. I guess there's ways around that, but um, yeah, I'm very happy that Kenny is back. Very happy that he's going to be wrestling on January 5th, and we'll see when he's going to be wrestling in AEW again. Um, I'm sure he will be at the first. Oh well, no, he probably won't be because he's probably just going to be coming back from Japan. Oh well, no, he's going to be leaving for Japan. So he might not
which one are you talking about?
the first Dynamite on Max.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, yeah, it's on this coming Wednesday, January 1st. So you kind of need some time in Japan before you start a show, like just to get past the jet
Well,
lag.
he's probably going to go to Japan early for promotion and stuff.
Yes, yes.
So I maybe he won't be on the first Dynamite on Max, but maybe he'll do a recording. Um, but yeah, I'm very happy that Kenny is back. Very happy to see what he's going to be doing going forward. He's been sorely missed in AEW. It's not the same without him. Um, we have obviously we had to adjust without him for a long time again, and yeah, I mean because he was out for all that time previously with the vertigo and all of that other stuff that he was dealing with, and then this happens, and it is very unfortunate. But we'll see on January 5th how he looks physically, because obviously, and this has been documented by many people, but there's a difference between being in ring shape and then being in Kenny Omega ring shape. So we'll see if he is in Kenny Omega ring shape on January 5th. And yeah, so that brings us to the main event. And I have some thoughts.
When you say I have some thoughts, that usually leads to, yeah, there are a number of issues I have with this match segment, whatever.
So the match is fine, right? So of course I'm
So let's
talking about
identify the match. Is
yeah.
this
I
the
was getting to that.
AEW?
I was getting to that.
Okay.
Of course, I am talking about the AEW World Championship Fatal 4-Way. John Moxley defending against Jay White, Hangman Adam Page, and Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy in this match, presumably for no reason, even though he just lost a singles match for this belt, which makes no sense at all. Um, Jay White has been on a huge streak of matches, so he has momentum. That's why he's in this match. And Adam Page, I guess the same thing. You wouldn't really know it though, because he hasn't really been wrestling. um, so yeah, there was the story that they told at Full Gear where Hangman Adam Page supposedly made a deal with Christian that if Christian cashed in his contract for the title, that Page would get the first shot. That didn't go as planned. obviously. Jay White got involved because he was feuding with Hangman Page at the time, who he beat. And here we are. So the build to this match was everybody can't get along, and Moxley knows that, so he's going to challenge all three of them because they're just going to do the same exact thing in the match, which is kind of what happened at the beginning. But they turned it around and just all attacked Jon Moxley at the same time.
Yeah. And if they stuck to that game plan, one of them could have walked away with the AEW world title. And at one point, they really did stick to the game plan because they went outside and did the old Shield triple power bomb on Jon Moxley through a table.
Yes, but as soon as that happened, Hangman Page took it upon himself to say that the job was done and just attacked everybody else. Which gave Jon Moxley a ton of time to get back into the match, even though the back of his head was busted open.
Yeah, again with the blood, and I was like, wow, that is a massive spot of blood dripping from the back of John's head. Meanwhile, we mentioned that Kenny Omega was used, so we were like, okay, he's not coming out for this. Christian Cage was seen sitting in the rafters in the balcony, or like in the cheap seats or his own booth with the rest of his family, still, brandishing that contract. Meanwhile, they randomly showed a completely different balcony where Hook was by himself, just like staring at Christian Cage across the sky. And I'm like, okay, so you had him like a few weeks ago jumping him from behind in his own booth. Why do you have
what
Hook
is
this time?
What is Hook going to?
What is Hook going to do from that vantage point? Is he going to jump across and fly over there? Or like,
what is he going to accomplish by sitting in a opposite balcony
by himself?
Is he just going to watch them? And as soon as they leave,
watching Christian watching the match?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
So I'm like, okay, I don't think Christian is coming down to do some kind of surprise cash in at this point, because if they did, they wouldn't just reveal that he's just sitting there like a goofball watching this match.
Yeah. So yes, as you mentioned, they do the Shield power bomb, which takes Jon Moxley out for a specific amount of time, but not for a very long time.
No.
he returns, and the back of his head is bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
Probably because he hit his head on a monitor or something on the landing. There is just a lot of trading of finishers, trading of signature moves.
Yeah.
People just disappearing and then returning to stop the pinfall. And Claudio and Wheeler Yuta getting involved.
Oh yes, I'm just like, at this point, I'm just like, I'm getting sick and tired of these run-ins. Like, I can't remember last time if John actually won the match by himself. And I remember myself, okay, yeah, sure, it's no DQ and a fatal 4-way. I guess they didn't really specify that, but I'm assuming it is.
Also, and we didn't mention this, but they also still didn't show the belt.
Yeah, we don't even know if the thing is in that damn briefcase they've been lugging around for a month and a half.
So Marina Shafir has this briefcase handcuffed to herself and just gives the briefcase to the referee. And the ref does not open the briefcase, probably because he can't. So
yeah, there was that beginning before the match started, right? We're just like a pair of handcuffs, like a handcuff chain. And I'm like, why is that handcuff chain there? And why was Marina handcuffing herself to the briefcase and the ring rope? Or that was weird.
Yeah. So we still haven't seen the belt since Jon Moxley won the belt.
Right.
And this match was just a lot of trading of finishers, trading of signature moves, people interfering, Wheeler Yuta stopping pinfalls, Claudio stopping pinfalls.
And I remember at one point Marina got in the ring while Jay White was on a tier with his Blade Runners, and he gives
Yes.
Marina the Blade Runner, which I think
Yes.
really popped everybody because they were just waiting for that to happen.
Yes. Marina ate a Blade Runner and we never saw her again.
Mm.
um, Also conspicuous by his absence was Pac.
Yeah,
No appearance of Pac at
that
all.
was weird. He's been
Um,
prominently featured in every Death Rider beatdown segment,
I
kidnapping,
yes.
kidnapping of random people.
So I mentioned to you that I think the reason that he wasn't there was to make the sides even for a thing that happens later.
That's pretty
Um,
lame.
but yeah. So Moxley just wins, and I wanted this match to be really good because the people in it are really good. Everybody in it is really good, but they just keep doing the same exact thing in every single match and not telling us why.
Yeah, well, it's been weeks and weeks of just Death Riders come out, beat down whatever random schmuck is here. Like the only thing that really piqued my interest was the last episode of Rampage, which I'm assuming is the last episode of Rampage,
Yeah,
because they did it in a way where basically Moxley seized power and basically says, "I'm going to restore power to the people." And one thing they did not want is Rampage, and I'm canceling Rampage right now. So that's why they had Pac and Wheeler destroy the lighting board. This way they had that big ass brawl where just literally everybody came out and fought each other. And then Moxley going back to the control room and saying Rampage is canceled and forever.
yeah,
That was the only interesting. Other than that, it's just been beating down. Like ever since they just kind of like, ever since they retired Brian, I don't know what's the point of this. Like, we're not seeing the AEW World Title because what, we don't deserve it. Why? Like, why do we as
yeah,
fans don't deserve it? And then I'm like, um, and I don't understand what these like they're just beating down. And it's all these cryptic messages about I need to change AEW. These guys are getting soft. Like, how soft are you talking about? Like, Orange Cassidy is like one of the longest reigning champions in AEW. It's not like he's been soft. I mean, you
yeah.
know,
There's just no goal.
Darby
What do you?
Allin's not soft. I don't think he's. I mean, he might get injured a lot, but yeah, but that's because the way
Oh
he
yeah,
wrestles,
and
right?
they let's not forget that they threw him down some stairs.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we forgot they almost killed the guy, which I'm
Yeah,
assuming is for his climb for Mount Everest again.
yes,
They need him to write him off the show. But yeah, I was like, as soon as like they showed Kenny in the earlier segment, and then they like show Christian Cage like just lofting around. I'm thinking, yeah, I'm sensing a retention here. I don't feel
yeah,
the momentum this moment for Jay White. I mean, it and if yeah, like what your prediction was, if Jay White won, then Christian would come in, steal the belt, and then they'll have Jay win it back at Grand Slam. But I didn't sense like they
yeah,
want to take the title away from Moxley because there's just the thing he's trying to do has not been accomplished yet. So I'm like, where is this
yeah,
going?
yeah. Well, and I just want a goal. I want a destination. I want to know what this is. What are we doing here? Because I don't want to dislike things that that John
Like,
Moxley's doing. I don't want to dislike things that Claudio's doing. I don't want to dislike things that Pac is doing. But you're just prolonging this and not telling me what the
yeah,
point is.
there was some illusion earlier a few months ago that there was someone else behind this, and like John Moxley is really just doing this on the behest of someone else, and like I don't think there is anyone else at this point. And
Yeah,
in the segment after this match, it looks like they are trying to put something together. Is like they're not the Death Riders are the only group that's emerged now that
yes.
just kind of can run roughshod over
So
everybody.
so FTR cut a promo last week saying that they were not going to be cleared until January 1st, which was a lie. um and we presume, and they said in this promo also that they would not be coming alone to the first uh to the biggest simulcast in the history of simulcasts. So obviously, the show being in North Carolina and one of their closest friends living in North Carolina, we all knew who it was going to be, and we were correct. So FTR comes out stays on the ramp, obviously, because they're not going to enter the ring to fight off three guys by themselves. The lights go out, and up on the screen we see rated FTR.
Mm-hmm.
As we all expected, the return of Adam Copeland. So Adam Copeland is back, looking like a jacked up grandpa, and they brawl with the Death Riders. And at one point, John Moxley was left alone in the ring, and Edge. I'm always going to call him Edge. I just can't not call him Edge. Adam Copeland does the thing that he has done to every other member of the Shield. He removes a bar from a chair and puts it in their mouth for a crossface. And John Moxley is just in this hold and has his mouth open and he's like falling asleep. And
right. It looks
Claudia,
like I thought he was gonna tap out, and then Claudio
yeah,
finally gets in there and drags him out.
yeah,
For a split second, I went, okay, one of you has a chair in the ring. Why don't you just hit Mox or Claudio?
yeah,
And then they go through this part where they're trying to get Mox off over the fence and leave the arena. And then Adam's got a microphone. The microphone is not working.
yes. So he has to
And
get
he's
another
like
one.
trying to scream something at Mox. The microphone finally works. And he screams at Moxley, I've been doing this when you were trying to grow pubes, kid. And you're like, wow,
Yeah.
I forgot. Yes, Moxley is, compared to Adam Copeland, is really hasn't been doing this as long as he has. So now
Yes.
we've got rated FTR, this group of I'm doing it too. Adam Copeland and FTR, representing North Carolina, apparently.
Yes.
Now we actually have a group facing off against the Death Riders. And in the
Yes.
post show press conference, they announced that yes, we're back. We're here for tag titles. We're here for trio titles. Adam's here for the world title now. This definitely sounds like a different guy than when he first showed up and just trying to get a lay of the land here and just saying, oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to having matches with all these people.
Yeah.
Adam says, yeah, I'm not going to stop jumping off like really high spots anytime soon. I mean, just got to do it. I mean, but he knows that for him, his time is not as long as some other people. That 1 month for him will feel like a year. And but yeah, Hope is back. FTR are back. They're gonna have a big 6-man tag match at Fight for the Fallen, January 1st in the simulcast of HBO of Max and TBS in Asheville, North Carolina, right in their backyard.
So we know that this is going to be a clusterfuck of
Craziness,
just stuff that happens in John Moxley 6-man tags.
Yeah, and we'll still not know why they're doing what they're doing.
Yep. So that was AEW Full Gear at World's End, sorry. And yeah, solid show. Just the ending. I still have more questions than answers, and I don't like that because it's been too long. I need to know what's going on here. Stop delaying what's going on here and just tell me what's going on here. Because they promoted this show as World's End and like as the end of the world as we know it. And what does that mean? It's just a new era in AEW. Sure, that's fine, but give me a reason to care about this storyline. So yeah, that is going to do it for us. Alan, do you have any closing thoughts before I get into the plugs?
Yeah, well, the only closing thought I would have is, as you just alluded to earlier, yeah. If you're to call this pay-per-view World's End, I would like it to be a show where like a lot of long-standing rivalries and storylines should come to a conclusion on this show. Right now, it looks like it's the beginning of a lot of things. Kenny Omega's time return to AEW. That Death Rider is now extension of a program with this new group rated FTR. I feel like some stuff has kind of ended. I mean, Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher, I don't expect them to wrestle each other again for a while. I don't know, but that's maybe Mercedes Monet and Chris Statlander won't be wrestling each other for a while. Yeah, I don't know anything else that would be that would consider having concluded decisively. I mean, I'm not complaining. It was a solid wrestling show, but I'm just saying in terms of storyline stuff, it kind of just leaves things kind of open in the air. It's like there's nothing
Yep.
that's kind of concluded, and there's nothing It's just bleeding over into 2025, which is fine. But I would like to see them do something.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so that is going to do it for us. Make sure to go to our linktree / going over big time podcasts, where you can get every way to listen to this show as well as watch it on YouTube, and our social medias for me, Alan, Tanner, and for the podcast itself. We're all on Blue Sky now, and that is on the Linktree as well. And yeah, that is going to do it for me. Alan, just give us your close of the show.
Well, thank you very much for everyone for listening. This year has been a lot of ups and downs for I think a lot of people wherever you are in the world. Just glad that we have like a few moments of our time during our busy lives to talk about wrestling a little bit, and hopefully, 2025 will bring better things.
All right. Thank you, everyone, and have a good one.